day guys, nice to have you here. Today we'll talk about some of the best picks for the month of February 2023 and possibly the coming months as well. Also, these heroes were based on the following factors. These heroes were grouped according to their primary roles officially listed in the game, not the lanes nor areas they are ideally played in, and are not sorted according to how good they are, since a lot of them are equally effective. And finally, we'll also share some recommendations for each hero that will certainly help you gain more wins. If you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like, share, and if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. Atlas is one of the tanks with the highest base defensive stats in the game, making him a formidable roaming support from the get-go, especially because of his passive skill that provides temporary bonus defense whenever a skill is used. He also has one of the most number of control effects and is capable of disrupting clashes, using his control abilities as early as level 1 and greatly becomes effective at level 2 because of his mobility and immunity to slow effects thanks to his second skill. Johnson's relevance remains untarnished because of how well he goes with a lot of lineups. His secret lies in his ability to join team fights quickly thanks to his ultimate, his pretty much reverse Angela. A very tanky and bulky Angela. Pair him with powerful heroes such as Leomord, Martis, or Saber for great results. Glue is a hero that greatly relies on the player's ability to play in order to be effective. Once you get the hang of his skill set though, it will be very easy for you to dispose of enemies. His entire skill set allows him to bypass frontliners and head straight to their vulnerable carries and single-handedly take them down. Another reason why Glue is so broken is his ultimate's ability, since by the time his ultimate is over, which in most cases is when the enemy he latched on is dead, his ultimate will be available again for use towards another enemy within a few seconds. Some people play him on the XP lane, but I strongly believe his best role to be is either as a roamer or a jungler. Regardless of role though, keep in mind that Glue's passive allows him to reduce the damage dealt by enemies to him by a certain percentage per stack. So keep on hitting them with your skills as much as possible and become your team's shield. One thing to remember though is, despite a portion of the damage dealt to Glue is dealt on his host, turret damage is not included. In case you guys are not aware, Carrie gains more stacks with Golden Staff's help by allowing her third basic attack to trigger her passive multiple times instead of one, therefore applying the true damage effect immediately instead of applying just one mark. Contrary to popular belief, she is not just an excellent anti-tank marksman. Even squishy heroes are at her mercy, especially when all of her needed items are equipped. Moskov is still a very powerful contender because of his ability to stun enemies for a significant amount of time and finish them off right before its effect ends. This skill of his is also excellent in outplaying most enemies, since it not only stuns, it also knocks them back, which goes so well with his first skill, which allows him to blink and dramatically improve his attack speed. He also benefits greatly from Inspire and can be very annoying to go against in team fights because of his passive that allows him to pierce through enemies. 1-1 is still one of our top marksmen. 1-1 may not be very powerful in the early game, but as soon as she gets two of her primary equipment, the game is over. Her ultimate is one of the most overpowered skills in the game, which provides absolute immunity and target chasing damage effective in both duels and team fights. Lapu Lapu has been a tremendous help in a lot of matchups because of the improvements given to his passive skill. He's harder to kill thanks to the shield he gains more frequently, and is more effective in taking down enemies since he has more access to his passive skill's enhanced dashing attack. The only problem with Lapu Lapu is his slow casting animation when using his ultimate and skills in ultimate form. You have to make sure you are aiming properly, and it's always better picking him when you have allies that can inflict some heavy control effects, such as Atlas. Martis is a pretty solid choice mainly because of the buff or damage rework they did to his passive a few patches ago, which gave him a huge temporary bonus damage at max stacks. Not only is Martis extremely easy to play with, snowballing is extremely easy with him too, especially because of this buff. Getting kills is easier than counting 1, 2, 3. Just slap on some damage equipment and you should be able to rip heads off using his newly improved passive. His second skill is also one of the most broken skills in the game since it gives him his much needed stacks easily and reduces damage he receives and provides immunity against most control effects. Martis is basically a hero that's difficult to kill and capable of wiping out an entire team. Leomord is such a nuisance, especially when paired with powerful roamers such as Johnson, Angela, and other control-type heroes. Unlike other carries that rely on critical damage, he wasn't heavily affected by the adjustment that was given to Dominance Ice, since he cycles alternately between his basic attacks and skill casts. Another thing that makes him great is his versatility when it comes to itemization. Whether you play him as a full damage carry or a tanky damage carry will not matter. Either way, he will be able to perform well and will all depend on the situation and matchup. Eve has a very oppressive skill set that prevents enemies from moving freely on the battlefield. It does require some practice to play her effectively, but once you get used to her skills, getting rid of multiple enemies will be extremely easy. Her ultimate is also very versatile since you can choose to inflict continuous burst damage or burn enemies, which allows her to utilize a wide array of magic power items including Glowing Wand. Savior is a very powerful glass cannon, not only because of his damage output, but also his range and control abilities. Be careful when playing him since he is extremely squishy. Try your best to also remain hidden on the map and only come out when absolutely necessary, such as to get minion last hits or to join teamfights. In order to maximize his full potential, above average map awareness is the key. Valentina is still a feared part of the meta. Her ability to counter or nullify most other heroes' abilities have been and will always be her best trait because of her powerful ultimate. She adapts well against most lineups and works great both as an XP laner and a mid laner. Just make sure to hit enemies with her skills as much as possible in order to gain XP advantage. Diggy is the best counter against heroes that rely on control effects such as Atlas, which is considered by many as one of the best, if not the best, tank right now. He is also fairly easy to play with and can be effective both as a mid laner or roamer. His build path is also fairly flexible because of his skill set and can be deadly with either a full magic damage build or defensive tanky support build. Faramis in my opinion is still one of the best supports right now. His ultimate prevents himself and his allies' deaths, which creates a very unfair advantage against the enemies. I strongly believe that, same as the previous months, he will be one of the most feared heroes next month, especially with the existence of powerful carries such as Martis, Joy, and 1-1. A lot of roamers prefer buying other defensive items instead of Dominance Ice, which makes Estes an excellent pick. If they choose to prioritize Dominance Ice, they lose out on a much needed cooldown reduction since that attribute was removed from that item. Estes is unmatched in greatly healing himself and his allies, but make sure to watch out for heroes like Akai and Yin since those heroes are excellent counters against Estes. Hayabusa does require some practice before you're able to play him effectively. You also have to have very high attention span, but once you get the hang of it, he can be very deadly and is capable of bypassing defenders with ease. Depending on the lineup, you are also not obligated to equip full damage items because of his deadly skill set that amplifies his skill damage up to 20%. So even if you need 2 or even 3 defensive items against certain enemies or situations, his damage output will still be superb. Saber is probably the easiest assassin to play with and has the most straightforward skill mechanics. His physical defense debuff is also very helpful in teamfights, making him a very good hero whether it's one-on-one or team clashes. To make matters worse for a lot of his enemies, his ultimate keeps his target airborne and helpless for more than 1 second while dealing tremendous damage simultaneously, which in most cases kills them instantly. Joy has a very unique skill set. It's not every day that we get to see a tanky assassin yet capable of taking down multiple enemies quickly. She is an essential part of any lineup and can be played on multiple lanes effectively. She does require some learning though. For those aspiring to play her, I suggest using the audio cues of her skills instead of nailing your eyes on her rhythm indicators. That way, you won't be distracted visually and will be able to observe the battlefield more effectively. There you go, those are the heroes that I think will leave a mark next month. What do you think? If you were to replace some of the heroes here, who would it be and who would you replace it with? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you haven't yet, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Stay safe everyone. Peace.